Always wonder, do y'all hear an echo? Welcome, everyone. I am Priestess Olaia Eva Shavy, and this is Siren's Lounge. Give me 2 seconds. Let me take a little sip of my drink. Okay. So, Siren's Lounge, welcome. This is a monthly live podcast where we get up and close and personal and we talk about the juiciest, most taboo topics. You know, the ones where we whisper about in private and we don't really bring to surface facts, truths, art, realizations. So, here on Siren's Lounge, it is adult conversation. So, if the kiddos are around, make sure you put them to bed. As I said, I am Priestess Olaia Ifeshebi, and I am one of the goddaughters of the esteemed Reverend Priestess Oshun Funke Ianifa. I'm a senior priestess with the Orisha Hoodoo Institute. I am an ancestral priestess. I'm the pussy priestess. I am a yoni steam practitioner. I'm a business owner and an executive director of a nonprofit, making me a community priestess. I'm everything that you need and more. Welcome. So, tonight we are talking about soul ties. So, I know that we all know what soul ties are. If you are watching right now, go ahead in the chat and drop your definition of what soul ties are. Soul ties, at their core, really are a profound and spiritual, energetic bond, and it's mostly between two people across unseen realms, right? So, in this dimension, all the dimensions above and below. So, these ties are more than just emotional connections, they're metaphysical links that intertwine the souls of those that we're involved with, and on several levels, of course, right? Like, we're not going to minimize this to sexual relationships because soul ties can happen in friendships and family ties. So let's just get that out the way. Yes, we know soul ties can happen in many forms, they do not have to be sexual. So, the concept of a soul tie can be understood as a cord of energy or a bridge that is created between individuals, often in relationships that carry deep emotional, spiritual, and physical significance. So, let me look. Is there anything in the chat? Okay, we got over here in the chat, all is one, everyone. Got my egg bays in the chat. Woo-hoo. Thank you very kindly. I'm gonna have to do another Omi Tutu because this little drinky drink got me warming up, y'all. So, soul ties. Who has had experience? It is real good, girl. I really want to call it out, but I don't want no beef, no static with no one. But let's just say it's a little bit white girl wasted. Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's not my typical type of drink. I typically will have some red wine. That is what I drink. That is my kilo. So, soul ties, y'all, are a serious conversation because some people do not actually monitor who they're laying with. So, they're creating unnecessary soul ties with people who are toxic and unnecessary for them. So, let's talk about the metaphysical nature of soul ties. So, from a metaphysical perspective, everything is energy, right? So, our thoughts, our emotions, our intentions, everything holds an energy. So, when two people engage in any form of relationship, particularly one with a deep emotional or sexual connection, they exchange energy. So, this exchange creates an imprint on the auric field and the energetic body that surrounds all living beings. So no matter where you go, no matter what country you in, no matter what city you at, there's a connection. And it can be very intense. So over time, this energetic exchange forms a tie or bonds that connect the two souls, regardless of time, space, or physical proximity. So no matter where you at, no matter what time zone you're in, it does not matter. So these bonds can serve different purposes, often aligning with spiritual lessons, karmic contracts, soul agreements, and in some traditions, soul ties are seen as part of the soul's journey. So, where the connection was agreed upon before birth to aid in each other's soul's growth, healing, or transformation. So, yes, these are sometimes predestined or predetermined soul ties, right? Like there are agreements that we make when we're floating up in heaven before we choose who our parents are. We make soul ties with our egg bag, period, point blank. So these predestined ties may have roots in the past lives or spiritual contracts. So they don't necessarily have to be from a past life, because hopefully in the life, if you have to relive it, you learn the lesson and you redeem yourself, right? So and their spiritual purpose is often to help the individuals involved evolve spiritually. So let's look at the chat really quick. Hello, Daisha. Welcome. Thank you for joining. We got Ocean Tara here. Whoa, all is one. We have Enchanted Vibes, my egg bay, and Bulma, my egg bay. Thank you. All is one, Oya Petu. So far, we have been talking just about the basics of soul ties. We have not really gotten into the juicy, good bit tits conversations about soul ties, but there are a lot. There are a lot. I think karmic relationships do count because it is a type of a soul tie that you can have. So you can have like a predetermined, it could be because of a karmic lesson. And so I think that karmic relationship does count. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Egg Bay. You know, my man's gonna be home soon, so try to do a little extra after he been working all day. So yes, to Ocean Tara, they asked, do karmic relationships count? And they absolutely do. Okay, so before I move forward, who in the chat drop a water sign if you have had a soul tie? If you know without a shadow of a doubt, you've had a predestined soul tie. Let's choose that, because when we young and dumb, we be full of cum, so we be doing all kinds of crazy shit. So predestined soul tie, if you know you have one, or if you know you have like a karmic something or other, drop a water sign in the chat for me. Okay, got a couple. Bulma, yes. Ocean Tara, yes. I definitely have a few predestined soul ties. They are not soul ties that I chose. I do have one soul tie that was chosen. That is like being uprooted, literally. So there are different levels. There are different levels to the soul tie and how you get the soul tie, right? So you can get them in a numerous of ways. So thank y'all for participating and telling me that you actually have some predetermined or like karmic lesson-ish soul ties, because soul ties that are predetermined, have a lot of profound aspects that come up throughout our lives. And so, the saying, like, they're for a reason or a season. A lot of times it be a season because it's a lesson. And then it's up to you if you actually learn that lesson, right? So that's my initial take on that. So, one of the most profound aspects of soul ties is the belief that many of these connections are predestined, like we've been discussing. So, in spiritual teaching, it is said that soul ties make agreements before incarnating. So, me and another soul, God forbid this has to happen again, but me and another soul made an agreement in whichever life. I haven't been able to know which life it is, but I know it's one of these previous ones. So we've made an agreement to meet up in life and support each other or help each other or be together. And that is the most annoying thing. And I'm hoping the lesson has been learned in this life. Okay. So before incarnating on earth, so choosing particular relationships that will challenge, support, or teach us lessons that are necessary for our evolution. Like, the lessons that we learn in life are not coincidence. They are by design. Make no mistake, right? So these contracts are not always pleasant. Really, they're not. And some are deeply painful but necessary for growth, healing karmic debts, and understanding your higher truths about love, loss, and connection. So, understanding what type of soul ties you have, figuring out where they come from, how long, maybe like how many lifetimes have you been going through this with this person. When you are deeply connected to the divine being within, and you're tapped in, you're able to tap into that information to maybe learn that lesson in this lifetime so you can switch your tune. If that's something that you care about, I mean, a goddess like me, I care about those kind of things. So nobody really gets too far uprooted, actually. And we just did a mass cord cutting in the beginning of the summer. So if you want that link, let me know. I'll drop it. Mass cord cutting ritual. It was intense, but it definitely did some good. So we'll talk more about that later. So from these agreements, a lot of times things manifest as an overwhelming sense of familiarity. So, like, we'll meet somebody sometimes and we'll be like, damn, I feel like I've been knowing you for years. Or like, are you sure I don't know you? Because it brings up that familiar feeling, right? And it's as if you've known them before, because in most cases you have. So these ties are not bound by time. You may feel deeply connected to someone you just met, or even to someone from a past life. Often the purpose of these ties are to teach you about an aspect of yourself that is hidden or unresolved, and it's pushing you towards your higher self for greater spiritual awareness. Are there any questions? The shadow work. I'm always talking about shadow work because it is the best thing for you. It really, really is. I really recommend everyone take any type of step towards really learning their true self, towards really investigating the things that you keep from folks, the things that you keep hidden from yourself even. I'm no stranger to hiding things from myself. There are so many things that I have blocked out from previous lives. It's not even funny. And I'm talking about previous lives in this current life. If you know, you know. So let's move forward. What's going on in the chat? Somebody give me an example of. Yeah, okay. Before we move forward with an example. Yes, Boma. Shadow work will have you crying in the corner if you're doing it right, but it also will have you out here glowing. It will have you out here knowing who the hell you are, with giving people the most smallest ability to even run over you or do any of those things. Knowing who you are prevents other people from being able to try and tell you who they think you are. Do the shadow work, y'all. For real. Okay, so real quick, I want to show a video of this little quick thing that I found on the internet about soul ties, signs of soul ties. And these soul ties are kind of a little bit not that great. So I would like to know if anybody watching has had any toxic soul ties or currently trying to rid themselves of any karmic relationship or soul tie that is like detrimental to their health. But we're going to go ahead and I'm going to.
Number one, you're obsessed with a person. That's never good. Number two, here are some signs that you might have unhealthy soul ties. Number one, you're obsessed with a person. That's never good. Number two, you're remaining in an abusive relationship and even defending your abuser. Number three, you're taking on the traits of another person, like addictions, attitudes, and mannerisms. Number four, if you're having reoccurring fantasies, thoughts, and dreams of a person. Number five, you have an unhealthy attachment to a person. And number six, you have an item or an object that you're holding on to and you can't get rid of it. The Bible mentions that Jonathan and David's souls have been knitted together. So in simple forms, a soul tie is the joining of two souls by knitting or being tied together. Do you recognize any of these behaviors in yourself? Follow me to learn how to begin breaking these unhealthy soul ties in your life.
Unhealthy soul ties, these rusty, crusty, little, nasty little, these little something, these little wanksters. I do not like a toxic person. A person who's toxic on purpose. I cannot stand it. It is so nasty. And unfortunately, we deal with a lot of toxic soul ties. And people don't even recognize that they're being toxic. People don't even recognize that there's even a soul tie because they're so oblivious to what is even going on. Listen, I'm trying to watch my language because, listen, these men out here, these people, I'm not even going to just limit it to men. These people, okay, people are toxic for no good reason. And a lot of those things that the gentleman said are true. And I agree with a lot of those things. But some of those things are remedial. They don't really matter. Holding on to objects, I mean, depends on what the object is. I mean, I'm in some of these groups and some of these people, yes, ashy knackers. Ooh, they be ashy. Need a whole bottle of lotion. The hell? Anyways, if you are experiencing a toxic, unhealthy soul tie, please go to learnarishahoodoo.com and hit me up, get a divination. Let's figure it out. Or go by the mass cord cutting ritual. You don't need to deal with that. And I'm going to tell you right now that your worth is right in front of your face. When you look in the mirror, that's what you see. You see yourself. That's all you need to see. You don't need to see anything else. If you are having issues, learnarishahoodoo.com. Hit me up for a divination. Let's talk about it. Let's find you a solution. You could also purchase the mass cord cutting ritual if you want to do it yourself and you're experienced. Literally. But don't deal with nothing toxic, especially if you know they're being toxic on purpose, they're not willing to change, or there's just no hope. You wasted a whole bottle of lotion on the ashy ass. Move forward. Just move forward. Mm-hmm. Just move forward. Yeah, soul ties are something else. And you know, when you're young and you don't really know what to do with it, you be attracting some bugaboos. I know y'all be attracting some bugaboos, especially y'all young girls, because you don't really know what to do with it. You think you pop these songs and you figured it out. Boo boo. There's so much more to figure out. But I'm here to help you with that. Literally, we're not doing that no more. We are not doing that no more. So let's move forward and talk a little bit about the role of sexual energy in soul ties, because this is a serious topic, and I want everyone to be brutally honest in the chat, because the role of sexual energy and soul ties is one that you need to consider. If you are not careful with who you sleep with or lay with, or if you out here being superhead, honey, please get a divination so we can talk about some options to protect yourself, because this is serious. So your sexual energy, right? I'm just gonna not even. I don't even really care about my notes. Speaking from a woman's perspective, our honey, when it starts to drip, that is your life force. The same from the man. It's his life force, right? Y'all are exchanging energy. Period. Bumping uglies. Out here being superhead. Whatever you're doing, you're exchanging energy. You're creating a tie with that person. And eventually, you could lose who you are. You could lose yourself. You could be so lost in the sauce and not your own sauce and not the right sauce, that when it comes time for you to want to settle down and do these things, it's very hard for it to actually happen, because you don't really know who you are, because you was out here being superhead and not being selective. Okay, that's my rant. Anyways, the sexual energy between two people is very, very potent and one of the most strong soul ties, and so oftentimes the hardest to break. And I'm not even gonna say breaking. I don't even want to say cutting, because a lot of times you need to uproot that shit. You need to pull it out at the root. Like, I'm talking, you need to see the whole root. When you visualize uprooting that tie, it needs to be bloody. Period. Especially if you really want to get rid of it. Period. So, as I was saying, sexual energy is one of the most potent forms of energy exchange between two people, which is why physical intimacy often leads to the formation of deep soul ties. In many spiritual traditions, sexual energy is seen as life force energy, also known as chi or prana or kundalini. When two people engage in sexual intercourse, they share this life force energy, intertwining their auric fields and creating a lasting energetic imprint. So when it's toxic, and it could be good, you could be getting some good D. It could be all of that, but it could be toxic as hell, unhealthy as hell. You need to let it go. You need to uproot that and let it go. Don't go laying with any Tom, Dick, and Harry. Period. I I don't know what else to say. Just don't do it. Be selective who you lay with. Know who you're laying with. Know who you're exchanging energy with. And we're receivers as women. We receive. So we're receiving their energy. So if their energy that we are receiving is energy that is going to lower our vibration, we probably should think twice about that. Think twice. Do you want to lower your vibration? Do you want to knock your pH balance off? That's a clear indication of unhealthy sexual energy if the pH gets knocked off. I'm being so for real, y'all. Okay, so there's one caveat. Me, myself, I am a siren. I am a goddess. I carry goddess energy. I definitely have a soul tie that I absolutely love. And I'm absolutely dickmatized. And I'm not going to leave that dick alone. No. But we also have boundaries. We also are working towards always being in a healthy relationship. And so there's work that takes place for that to continue. So all soul ties are not bad, because drop in the chat, let's show this video about the soul tie knowing. I'm going to show you guys this reaction to a good soul tie knowing, where you just be in the midst of the kingdom with your God King. My man is my God King because he is in the flesh a king and will one day ascend to being a God King. So let's watch this video about soul tie knowing. So you probably can't hear it, but basically, when you know you have a soul tie with this person, and then out of the blue, you just know something is going on with him, know he's about to text you or call you. Maybe y'all are in the same room, but you know he's about to call you in the room, or you know he's about to ask you a question or something. The soul tie knowing is a real thing. Drop a peach in the chat if you have had a soul tie knowing with a healthy soul tie relationship. Drop a peach in the chat if you have had a healthy soul tie knowing, where you just minding your own black ass business, and then all of a sudden all this shit happens. Shooting stars, flashing lights, hot flashes maybe, and then all these voices, and then, oh, this nigga is about to call me. Oh, he about to this, and then it happens. Has that happen? Drop a peach in the chat. All soul ties are not bad. I needed to say that because I don't want you to think that I'm on here to tell you that soul ties are bad, because they're not all bad. They really are not. There are people who have been married for years, decades, and they obviously have relationship goals, right? And they have a soul tie. Their soul tie is not bad. There's probably a lot of experience grandma can give us, a lot of tips and tricks grandma can give us, literally. So all soul ties are not bad. My great grandmother was married for a very long time, up to the day she passed away in 2013. Okay, so 60 some odd years. All soul ties are not bad. The knowing is funny to me. When I seen that, I laughed out loud because the shit is funny and it really happens. And it's one of those things where, unless you're around people constantly who share the same interests as you, or maybe even the same spiritual gifts, and you can actually talk about these things, that was the perfect video. So all soul ties are not bad. Just be mindful in exchanging life force with your partner. And as I said, visit learnarishahoodoo.com if you need a reading, get a divine feminine energy reading from me, or you can purchase the mass cord cutting ritual. If you're in an unhealthy situation, if you're in a healthy situation, big ups to you, boo. I'm right there with you. Literally. So, I wanted to also mention that soul ties are going to be across several lifetimes. They extend beyond lifetimes. These are often like referred to as like karmic soul ties, where two souls are bound by past life experiences that require a resolution in this lifetime. And baby, let me tell you, if you I have a soul tie with someone. I've done the cord cutting a good 3 times already. That's why I'm saying you need to uproot it. You cannot cut the cord solely. You have to do more than just cut the cord because it can grow back. Physically, it could grow into something in your body, especially if it's toxic and unhealthy. Metaphysically, it can grow back if you allow it, if you answer their text messages, if you like stalk their profiles, make plans with them, and all the weird shit. If you do all the weird shit after you've already cut the cords, you allowing that shit to grow back. That's what I'm saying. You got to uproot these unhealthy soul ties that you have or cords that you have allowed to intertwine and dig themselves deep within you. You have to uproot that shit. You can't just cut it because you can allow it to grow back, especially when you entertain the fuckery. Okay, let me get back to what I was saying. so these ties are usually intense, and they can be filled with a lot of passion, but also a lot of conflict. And as they serve to balance out the unfinished karma. So I don't even want to use myself as an example, but this soul tie that extends previous lives, it's in this life, it did not turn out to be a healthy one. That's what I'm saying. Uprooting the tie, uprooting the cord, right? And Eastern medicine, Eastern civilizations, they believe that the energetic cord is attached to your pinky and that it's red. And so when you make pinky promises, those are real because that's where your cord is. And it goes through your pinky and all through your heart. And then it extends metaphysically and you can't see it. Right? These karmic lessons are lessons that you really need to heed, especially if you're on your spiritual journey. If you are on a journey like myself or one of my egg bays or anyone like dedicated to being their higher self and living that truth, you need to pay attention to your soul ties so that you can learn the lessons and so you don't have to relive it or reincarnate. I have an egg bae who does not want to reincarnate. She wants to be an egungun. She don't want to reincarnate. So in this life, she is focused on figuring out all her shit. She is not worried about no ashy knackers. She is not worried about no ashy knackers. She is waiting for Mr. Forever so that when she finally passes on in 100 some odd years, she could be a Ugungu and she don't gotta reincarnate. So paying attention. Fuck this ghetto ass place. It's very ghetto here, y'all. Humans have made this place very ghetto. Unfortunately, this is true. So, just want to say, all soul ties are not bad, but the ones that are, you need to uproot that shit and let it go. Learn the lesson so you don't got to relive it. That's real. That is really real, y'all. Really, really real. And when you're in a position to get divine guidance, listen to the guidance, accept it, and implement it. Don't just accept it and look at it or think about it. Actually implement that because it could do you some good and can help you. Cutting all ties with people letting go of everything, business, whatever the case is, has contributed to my peace. Okay, the entire species is not ashy, but this place is very ghetto. And because this place is ghetto and because they buy into bullshit and fuckery, it makes them ashy. That's just one reason. Just one. Not our whole species, but a lot of us are. Not me, but a lot of my people are. And if I could do, never mind. I'm not going to even go there. We're going to keep talking about soul ties after I take this drink. Mm-hmm. Okay. So let's see. Yeah, not me. I'm just looking in the chat. Not me. I'm shiny because I use shea butter. Okay. I'm not shiny because I use baby oil. Which, by the way, next month's theme is, do you really need 1,000 bottles of baby oil? I want y'all to think about what that actually means. But that's what next month's theme is going to be about. Do you really need 1,000 bottles of baby oil? We're going to talk about natural lubrication and 1,000 bottles of baby oil. Listen, I be trying to remain in my highest self all the time. But when I turn on my TV and it says, did he do it? What in the fuck? When I go on my social media and it and there's a picture of the bathroom with 1,000 baby oil bottles, what the fuck? Do you really need 1,000 baby bottles? Do you really need 1,000 bottles of baby oil? I don't. Okay. Back on script. So, as I've said previously, there are positive soul ties and negative soul ties, right? So, we already know what the negative soul ties, they carry cycles of emotional pain. They are toxic relationship, and they can just even be unhealthy patterns. It doesn't even have to be the person. It could just be a pattern. Like, a soul tie is technically connected to a soul, somebody that's living or, has a soul or whatever. But really, an unhealthy pattern, I mean, I guess some people would call it a curse, but unhealthy patterns in relationships. For the longest time, I did not have a relationship past 2 years. The longest time. Now we're working past 3 years. And it's not because I have commitment issues. That's not it. I'm the most loyal person that I know. Period. In another life, you could have caught me in the clink being loyal. So it's not about that. It ain't. But unhealthy pattern is also attached to soul ties, and it's something that we need to consider and think about. So while we're on our journeys, while we're learning about ourselves, while we elevate to our next highest level at every level we reach, because this shit has levels to it, you need to be paying attention to patterns. It's not just the people, it's patterns. Because you could have a tie with yourself to figure the shit out. right? Because it could not be the person. It could be literally you. I literally did not have relationships past 2 years for a very long time. Like, my marriage didn't last 2 years. I mean, it did on paper, but not in the physical. The relationship did, but not the marriage. So it's real. Patterns. I want you to pay attention to patterns as you go through your journey. If you're noticing that it doesn't matter what type of guy you date or person you date, you have this certain type of situation happen, I want you to do a divination on that and figure out why that is, and what's the lesson in it for you to learn, and what are the steps for you to correct that or rectify it. It's simple. It's simple math, guys. It ain't rocket science. I promise. Because I'm not a rocket scientist. I ain't. All right. So, breaking soul ties, uprooting them, healing the scars, the pain, however you want to say it. Healing or breaking a soul tie, it requires deep spiritual work. And I'm not talking about just a quick little 5-minute journal. I'm not talking about listening to Tony's affirmation songs, which I love, by the way. No, it's way more than that. For those with negative ties, rituals like cord cutting ceremonies are commonly used to sever the energetic bonds that you have with the other person. But as I keep saying, and will continue to say, you need to uproot it. You don't need to sever it. Unless you feel like this is a soul tie that has work to do, and we'll probably see each other in a couple years and be better because we both have some growing to do, then fine. Fine. The ball is in your court. But if that's not the case, you need to uproot it. Okay. So this process involves visualizing the energetic cords that connects you to the other person being cut or ripped out. Like, rip it out to where you see the blood. With tools like candles, crystals, prayers, herbs, whatever, the 4 elements, whatever you choose. But those are things that you can do. If you are strictly a praying person and all you do is pray and your prayers are gold, pray. You can do some prayers for sure. But I would say you probably need to be in prayer every single day and leave that person alone, be celibate for at least a year. Because the energy that you exchange is strong. And I'm like, especially when you're sexual with a person. So have you ever just been like, I'm single, I'm this, I'm that, I haven't been with nobody in X amount of months? But when you lay in your bed at night and you're horny as fuck, you be thinking about and visualizing the good bomb sex that you have with that toxic ass person. Yeah, that's deeper work that you need to do. Because even if you do a cord cutting, visualizing them when you're trying to pleasure yourself is going to allow that cord to regrow and reappear. There's no remedies or anything for positive soul ties except for to nurture that connection that you do have and to integrate the lessons learned and how to move forward with gratitude and like implementing some sort of check-in with your partner to maintain that continual growth within the relationship. If it's healthy. If you're in a toxic, getting your ass beat relationship, trying to have a conversation with the abuser ain't gonna help you. You need to run. You need to uproot the cords. You need to get a bulldozer and dig it up. Let me check the chat because I'm serious, y'all. And I know y'all think I'm being like a little dramatic. I might be a little dramatic, but I mean, let's talk about stupid soul ties. I know that I'm a little bit dramatic, but let's see this little video real quick about stupid soul ties. Stupid soul ties is one of those situations where you're in a situation where you need to figure out what is happening, what is going on before you. Is it positive or is it negative? Literally.
Soul ties. It's just that after you found out they were stupid, your soul is still tied. It didn't loosen. I think the biggest concern should be why your soul is so eager to be tied to something that is stupid. It's not serving you and you want to stay there, claiming soul tie. Did they swear for you? Are you planted? Get up. You can move.
So, if you have a soul tie that is a negative situation, unhealthy, even if it's just a repeated pattern, like maybe you find yourself with a person who abuses drugs in every relationship and you wondering why your pH balance is off. That's the reason, because they're on drugs and they're nasty. If you know that, you know that's a stupid soul tie, why are you going to stay in it? I am quick to cut a motherfucker off. Real quick. Sorry. And I quick, because I don't got time. And I'm not trying to have to sit in the bath every time you want to fuck off because you want to try and throw my pH balance off. I don't got time. The devil dick and horrible liars don't mix. They do mix. Don't get me wrong. They absolutely mix because they exist. Mm-hmm. But if you are a spiritual being wanting to live in your highest good, the devil dick is probably not what you should be. You shouldn't be partaking in the devil's dick. Just saying. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and get into a divination, because I feel like there is some conversations that we can have around, our collective lessons that we're learning when it comes to divinations. Or when it comes to soul ties, I mean. Sorry, this little white girl wasted got me a little in it a little bit. So let's see. What divine guidance can we receive as a community regarding our shared soul ties and spiritual journey? Or what karmic patterns are present in our community's soul ties, and how can we address them? I think the karmic patterns are more important because there's so much going on in our world and our country specifically that I think these karmic lessons really need the forefront of a lot of people's attention. Like, I need folks to start thinking about what the lessons are that they need to be learning so they can stop having the same shitty experience in every life that they have to reincarnate. You will meet some people in your life who are like, I've reincarnated 5 times. And you're just like, for real? if it's not a good experience, you don't want to reincarnate. So our question for tonight is, what karmic patterns are present in our community's soul ties? Like, what are the things that are preventing us from living our best lives and walking the straight and narrow path that leads us to our greatest destiny? Like, that's what this question is about. How can we address this? All right, our question is, what karmic patterns are present in our communities, soul ties, and how can we address them? That was the bottle cap, and it's open. But the significance behind bones flying out and landing somewhere, that bottle cap's on the floor. There's a lot of work to do before we can get to that bottle cap, essentially. All right. First off, most of these bones are in the pertinent section that are really relative to this divination question. And our question is, what karmic patterns are present in our community soul ties and how can we address them? So first off, protection comes out for me. I got a bullet right here with the lock right next to the ring. There's no commitment to protect what is ours. There's no commitment. And there's not going to be an easy fix for that. But if we want to end the karmic patterns or the repeat patterns that we're experiencing in our lives, we literally need to make a commitment to protecting what's most precious in our life. And it needs to be on lock, like without a shadow of a doubt. I don't know if you can really see this or not. It's a little, let me move my camera a little bit. So here we have this bullet. And right off top, Ori is like, nah, what needs to be worked on is protecting what's ours and being committed to it. Not being so quick to switch in sides and understanding that there is going to be work that needs to be done, period. Like, we're not going to get anywhere without doing work. You're never going to have an opportunity to just manifest, snap your fingers, and something happens without you having to do something to make it manifest. There's always work that needs to be done. Our wish can definitely come true, but it's not going to be with any easy fixes. That's this right here. So the karmic patterns are protecting what is ours and being committed to it. There has been no protection for our babies, for our Black women, even for our Black fathers. There's not a lot of protection in any category for our trans people. Like, there's no protection for our people. We have to be committed to protecting our people if we want to change these karmic patterns within our community when it comes to these soul ties and not bringing up toxic situations and relationships and patterns. No easy fix. There's definitely work to do. And the work that needs to be done comes from our ancestral power. All the bones are on the board. All the bones are on the board right now. Literally. So not falling, okay. So many things are coming in right now. All right. So listening to the guidance of our ancestors, period. Listening and then retaining the information. So your ability to listen to the information that is being presented to you, that is coming from the ancestors, your ability to then regurgitate that information and make it a learning experience or a learning moment for someone else. Your ability to have a backbone and be like, that's not right, this is what actually needs to happen. That's one of the steps. Speaking up for what is wrong and putting forth the effort to listen to what the ancestors are telling you that needs to be done to correct it. That is one step. Soul stone here, soul searching, period. The ancestors will light a fire up under that ass real quick. Real quick. The next thing that I'm picking up on right now is not falling for bullshit. So in our community, there's so much hype and fad about things that are not fully attainable for everyone, because they don't fully believe in themselves, because they don't fully honor themselves, because they don't fully know their self-worth, and because they allow fuckery and bullshit to take place. In order for us to get to a place of understanding these lessons that we have within our community that prevents us from actually having good, healthy relationships, good, healthy family dynamics, generational wealth, all the things come into play here, is not falling for the bullshit. And I would even go as far as to say spiritually, religiously. So all in all, the karmic patterns is protecting what is yours. There's been no protection, little to no protection. I know so many people who do not know what it means to have a person protect them, to have someone stand up for them or speak up for them. They don't know that life. That's the first pattern. Not speaking up for what is right, keeping your mouth shut. So many times we see videos on the internet about people, onlookers, stand buyers, watching people abuse other people, watching crimes happen, watching abuse, toxic, murderous behavior happen, and nothing gets said. Speak up, have a backbone. Do it before the ancestors light a fire up under that ass. And then listen to what the hell they're talking about. Third karmic pattern is falling for bullshit. Like both in the mundane world and both on the spiritual side. All that glitters ain't gold. That's the saying, ain't it? Like all that glitters ain't gold. So every person that tells you they're a prophet ain't a prophet. Period. All in all, what we need to do is recognize these patterns and take heed. Listen to our ancestors, do our shadow work, and the soul searching that needs to happen. If we as a collective can do these first initial things, listening to our ancestors, doing our soul searching, we can come together and we can protect what's ours. And we can be committed to that. And we can break some of these other patterns that are unhealthy, unproductive in our lives. I'm going to take a second and go to the chat. Okay. So, Ocean Tara, what you think about that? How was that? Yep. Lack of protection. Lack Someone in my community just passed away this week. Lack of protection. A Black woman. Yep. And I mean, like, when you think about protection just in general, and you think about all the missing babies, all the missing women, there's a huge lack of protection for our people, for our dignity, for our very existence. And if the people that we're surrounded by are not going to protect us, who is it up to protect us? I know who I'm going to call, but who y'all going to call? I'm calling my comrades. That's who I'm calling. I'm not calling the police. Nobody's dying tonight. We calling the comrades. But the protection piece. This is not a political rally, so I'm not going to get political on y'all. I'm going to stay in my Siren vibe. But just know that if shit hits the fan, we do have protection as a community. But it's going to be up to the community to accept that protection. And that's all I'm going to say about that. But it starts with just protecting one another. All bullshit aside, all differences aside, and gender not mattering. Like, it matters, but in this, it's counted without being said, right? So, family first, rebuilding the Black family, understanding what that even means or what that looks like, why it's important. I am listen, what is the saying? It's better to know, or it's better to not know and not do than to know and not do. It's a tongue twister. Forgive me if I said it wrong, but basically, if you know what you need to do, get off your ass and do it. It's simple. So the result for our divination is that we have 3 specific karmic lessons that we need to focus on as a community. That is this drink. That is protecting ourselves and each other, speaking up for what is right, and not falling for the bullshit. And understanding that there's work that needs to be done. So, listening to our ancestors, tapping in, venerating them. If all you do is set out your grandma's Bible with a glass of water, like I said, it's not rocket science. Shadow work. Simple stuff that can be done, but produce big change when it's done on a mass level. Clout chasers. Ocean Tar said, people be out here chasing the highs of these soul ties. What are the kids calling it? Clout chasing? It's toxic. But apparently being toxic is cute. I don't know in whose world, not in mine. So I would like to just thank everyone for joining me this evening, because soul ties are definitely something that's not talked about enough. I know people joke around a lot about soul ties. People, you know, don't really consider what they're doing in the heat of the moment. We're all guilty of it at one point in our life or another, even if it's like, oh, I made out with a stranger. Like, you still swap spit. That still was an energetic change. So, many levels, many layers. And the very biggest point of speaking about soul ties is for us to really understand how they impact our lives, and for us to take a deeper look at how they are impacting our lives and what changes need to happen. And like I said, if you are in need of a reading, if you need someone to help you figure out what's going on, go ahead, learnarishahoodoo.com, book a reading with me. If you need to do a serious cord cutting ritual, I have one online, learnarishahoodoo.com. It is a mass cord cutting ritual. You can do this at any point in the year. I prefer the full moon, but it can be done. You can uproot it. And like I said, if you feel like, oh, we just need to take some time apart, and you're still gonna cut the cord, but you're gonna let it grow back, just don't even waste your time or your energy. Preserve your energy. Work on yourself. Take yourself to your next highest level. Okay? Like, for real. Be serious with yourself. Do not be out here faking the funk, talking about, oh, I'm in my soft girl era, but you out here in your masculine energy, and this ashy knacker is fucking up your pH balance every week you come over. Like, fix it, figure it out, for real. That's some real advice. Like, there's no reason to be dealing with that at all. And I know everybody's situation is different. Some shit's not easy. Some things are easier said than done than others, and that's fine. It is what it is. It is what it is. So before I cut out, I just want to do a couple little announcements. This weekend, the Orisha Hoodoo Institute and Black Spectrum Network are doing the Ancestral Water Healer Certification. It is a 2-day immersive virtual workshop offering 16 hours of engaging lectures, hands-on labs, and interactive breakout sessions. So if you are interested in discovering the profound power of water, learning to harness water for healing yourself and your clients or your family, mastering the art of performing powerful ancestral rituals, creating sacred space using water, go ahead and go to orishahoodoo.com to do that. It's starting tomorrow. Also, myself, Yamiya's Inclinations, Priestess Olaia Ifeshebi, and Divinely Clairaudient, Priestess Omoshule, are hosting an ancestral healing retreat. Our retreat is October 11th through the 13th. This is going to be a 3-day retreat in Mount Hood National Forest. The cost is $1,200, but well worth it for a private chef, cabin in the woods, and hands-on ancestral learning and teaching from 2 senior priestesses. We both have been doing our own ancestral healing for many years and have a lot of information to share. If you are beginning in your journey, if you are new with ancestral healing, which really is healing yourself, if you are new on your spiritual journey and looking for guidance, definitely go to my link tree. You can apply for the ancestral healing retreat. There are some videos you can watch, you can register, you can pay. You can message me, ask me questions, whatever you need. We are here. I am so excited that we had this conversation tonight. I got one more drink, maybe 2 more sips. White girl wasted. It's not really my thing, but that's the name that I named this drink because it's good. So having the conversation about soul ties was gratifying because I always want to talk about soul ties. I be wanting to talk about the leprechaun all the time, but I just don't because I don't want to give it energy. So having this conversation with y'all was well worth it. I've learned a lot over the years about soul ties, my own personal experience, and in my own personal research. If you have any questions, if you need any support, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I am Priestess Olaia Eva Shaby, and as I always say, test these waters if you want to. Peace.